Welcome to The Explainer. I am so pumped you're joining me today because, well, we're tackling a topic that's been causing absolute shockwaves for local homeowners. We're breaking down the massive, real-world costs of a 2026 kitchen remodel right here in Portland. Our goal? Demystifying that massive sticker shock using hard, local data. We're going to look at exactly where every single dollar goes. So if you're planning a renovation anytime soon, consider this your ultimate roadmap.
But hey, before we dive into the hard numbers, let's talk about the feeling of remodeling. Attention required. Sorry, you have been blocked. We've all hit this exact error message online, right? Well, I'm using it today as a bit of a metaphor, because honestly, it perfectly captures the feeling of hitting a bureaucratic and financial brick wall when you're planning a Portland remodel. You've got this beautiful vision, you start making moves, and then bam, you're blocked by some unexpected regulation, a massive fee, or a hidden structural nightmare. We are going to unblock that process today by showing you exactly what to look out for.
All right, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. $78,500. I wanted to put that number right out there. According to the latest 2026 data from Renology, this is the median cost for a mid-range Portland kitchen remodel. We're talking semi-custom cabinets, quartz counters, new appliances, the whole shebang. We really need to ground ourselves in the stark reality of this market. This isn't some shiny reality TV show. This is what actual Portlanders are paying literally right now.
So how on earth do we reach that massive price tag? Well, here's our blueprint. We're going to cover the renovation roadblock, the anatomy of a remodel, labor and market forces, permits and hidden hurdles, real Portland kitchens, and finally, surviving your remodel. Let's kick things off with Part 1, the renovation roadblock. You see, there's this core conflict at the heart of almost every Portland kitchen project. It's the homeowner's aesthetic expectation colliding head-on with the insanely expensive structural reality of an older home. The expectation? Usually just a cosmetic surface update. You know, just want to move the sink 3 feet to get that nice view out the window. Sounds like a quick $500 plumbing fix, right? Nope. The reality in a city full of historic homes is often a systemic overhaul. Moving that one sink means opening a wall, which exposes 80-year-old galvanized pipes that now have to be completely replaced down to the main stack. Oh, and while you're in there, you find ungrounded knob and tube wiring, meaning you now need a dedicated circuit from an electrical panel that is already maxed out. Suddenly, your simple aesthetic tweak turns into a massive structural overhaul. Moving right along to Part 2, anatomy of a remodel.
Now that we understand that underlying tension, let's slice up that $78,500 pie to see where your money is actually going. Check out the biggest slice here. Cabinetry and hardware eats up 35% of your budget. On our median project, that is $27,475 just for semi-custom cabinets. Insane, right? The next biggest chunk is labor and installation at 25%. That means almost 20 grand is going straight to the skilled pros doing the heavy lifting. Then we've got appliances at 15%, and counters, plumbing, and electrical taking up 20%. And those beautiful visual finishes, the tile flooring, the paint, that trendy backsplash you actually notice the most, they make up a measly 5% of the total cost.
Which brings us to Part 3, labor and market forces.
So why exactly is labor taking a massive $20,000 bite out of the budget? Well, to understand that, we have to look at the NAHB Remodeling Market Index, or RMI. It's basically a 0 to 100 scale that rates current market conditions against future indicators like leads and project backlogs. And the Q1 2026 data tells us something crucial. Contractor backlogs are incredibly strong right now. Basically, contractors are booked out for months. They have a constant stream of leads coming in, and that massive demand acts like a floor, directly sustaining those high local prices.
And when we zoom in on the workers themselves, the numbers tell a very similar story. Looking at 2025 and 2026 data from BOLI, that's the Oregon Bureau of Labor and Industries, there's a really stark contrast. Median hourly construction wages in the Portland metro area are hovering 15 to 20% higher than the rest of the Oregon state average. The reality is, residential construction trades here simply command a premium.
Let's break down what those BOLI rates actually look like. A licensed journeyman electrician, they're commanding $45 to $65 an hour. A skilled finish carpenter is billing at $50 to $75 an hour. But wait, it doesn't stop there. Contractors have to take those baseline costs and add their own overhead and profit margins on top. Plus, if you happen to live in more affluent or logistically tricky neighborhoods, think the West Hills or Laurelhurst, contractors will often tack on a 10 to 15% neighborhood premium just to cover the higher operational costs and demand of working in those areas.
Let's look at Part 4, permits and hidden hurdles.
All right, beyond the visible workforce and the shiny materials, we have to talk about the unglamorous, invisible costs. I'm talking about the bureaucratic red tape of renovating in Portland that literally blows up budgets every single day. We source these straight from Portland permitting and development, and guys, these aren't optional design choices. They are non-negotiable realities. City permit fees alone will run you anywhere from $1,200 to $2,800. Open a wall? Seismic retrofitting might cost you up to $7,500. Finding asbestos, which, let's be honest, is practically a given in pre-1980 homes, means legally required abatement to the tune of $1,500 to $4,500. Need to upgrade your electrical subpanel for those sleek new appliances? Add another $2,000 to $4,000 to the tab.
I really want to highlight this one specific detail because it catches so many people off guard. Recent actions by Portland Permitting rely heavily on what are called Building Official Determinations, or BODs. These dictate the seismic upgrade rules. You might start a demo thinking, oh, I'm just pulling out a little drywall. But once that wall is open, these determinations can mandate that you bring the connections all the way up to current seismic codes. Talk about a massive budget-busting hidden hurdle.
Moving to Part 5, Real Portland Kitchens.
Let's ground all this data in reality and look at 3 actual Portland projects to see how these forces play out. First up, a 1925 Laurelhurst craftsman. They removed a wall, tackled structural changes, and put in gorgeous shaker cabinets in soapstone. Because of the age and the structural scope, that project hit $118,500. Now compare that to a Pearl District loft condo. They kept the small footprint and made absolutely no layout changes, which meant they dodged those hidden structural hurdles. That let them splurge on high-end Miele appliances and quartzite, landing at $82,000. Finally, we have a 1970s Raleigh Hills ranch. This is your classic mid-range refresh, keeping the U-shaped layout, adding semi-custom cabinets and quartz. That one came in at $71,000. It just perfectly demonstrates how the age of your building, combined with your material choices, dramatically dictates your final bill.
And finally, Part 6, Surviving Your Remodel.
So, the big question, how do you actually survive this process without going completely broke? Here are your 3 primary steps to keep things on the rails. Step 1, control scope creep. I know, adding under-cabinet lighting or upgrading to a slightly nicer faucet mid-project seems harmless, but those minor additions snowball fast, and they can easily add 15 to 20% to your budget. Step 2, expect unforeseen conditions. The NAHB strongly recommends setting aside a 10 to 15% contingency, especially for homes over 30 years old. You are going to find surprises behind those walls. It's just a matter of what. And step 3, lock in materials early. If your floor tile isn't ordered on schedule, the work stops, and you'll end up paying nasty rescheduling fees to your subcontractors.
Ultimately, your absolute best defense against that clash between a cosmetic budget and a systemic reality is a detailed, itemized quote. Seriously, do not accept a generic estimate. A real quote needs specific line items for demolition and disposal fees. It has to specify the plumbing and electrical rough-ins, right down to the exact fixture models. You need the cabinetry brand, style, and finish documented in writing. And absolutely crucially, you need a crystal clear payment schedule and a strict change order process so everyone knows exactly what happens when things inevitably pivot.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty vital question. Is your cosmetic budget actually ready for a systemic reality? When we look at remodeling in a beautiful historic city like Portland, the true cost of modernization is about so much more than just shiny new appliances and pretty countertops. It's a deep, systemic investment into the actual bones of your home. Thank you so much for joining me to explore the realities of the 2026 market. I really hope this explainer gives you the blueprint you need to tackle your own projects with absolute confidence.